Hey girl, has overpriced beauty hurt your wallet?
e.l.f. that.
This is how long this is. This is how long the bottle looks. Bruh.
We're pulling the curtain back on the messy side of e.l.f. Cosmetics, and trust me, it's not pretty. From questionable marketing stunts to billion-dollar drama, this brand looks like it's spiraling. They linked up with Hailey Bieber, and ever since then, whispers of chaos behind the scenes just won't stop. Then came a commercial with Matt Rife that left people furious, with viewers calling them out for being tone-deaf about domestic violence. And if that wasn't enough, countless customers are saying their products are wrecking their skin, breakouts, rashes, burns, you name it. So what's really going on here? Why doesn't e.l.f. even follow Hailey Bieber after dropping $1 billion on her? That's shady. You might remember Hailey giving up her most valuable project. And no, not Baby Jack Blues, I'm talking about her beloved Rhode cosmetics, handing it over to e.l.f. And now, here at Fame Drip, we're digging into the ugly truth about what went down. Now, don't get me wrong, plenty of people swear by e.l.f. because the prices are low and the makeup is easy to grab. But when a brand blows up this big, you already know the scandals are gonna surface. In this breakdown, we're walking you through their biggest controversies, the kind of stuff that makes you second-guess every product on your vanity. And we have to start with this so-called billion-dollar Hailey Bieber deal because there's a dangerous narrative floating around that she magically became a billionaire overnight. And spoiler alert, that's not true. Right away, people were scratching their heads over e.l.f. dropping $1 billion on Rhode. Out of all the beauty brands up for grabs, why choose Hailey Bieber's line? That price tag says a lot, and not in a good way. Here's the thing, Rhode actually has 3 co-founders. Yes, Hailey's one of them, but that $800 million payout from e.l.f. didn't go straight into her pocket. She had to split it with her partners, and once California taxes snatched their piece, she's walking away with way less than people imagine. Sure, it was enough to clear Justin Bieber's big debt to Scooter Braun, but fans are still side-eyeing this deal, wondering if Rhode was really worth $1 billion.
Like the craziest deal I have ever witnessed. e.l.f. just acquired Hailey Bieber's Rhode for $1 billion. Never before have I seen a brand launch, hit the meteoric success that it's hit in such a short period of time, and sell $1 billion valuation. Rhode launched June 15th, 2022, which means that the brand is nearly 3 years old, blown away. If you had told me that Rhode would be the first brand of all the brands on the docket for sale right now, I would have told you you're out of your mind, batshit crazy. One Size is up for sale. Makeup by Mario is up for sale. Glow Recipe is up for sale. All these brands have been in the game so much longer. Let's talk about her launches. Skincare, nothing crazy, no major actives. A lip liner that the whole world erupted about hating because it didn't last. A pocket blush that was not shade inclusive, that then became shade inclusive. My mind is blown. They're building themselves up to be a super strategic. This, to me, was very strategically placed, specifically because they're about to go into retail, and it is so insanely hard to be a brand selling in Sephora. You need crazy money. They needed money, and they needed it backing, and they got it.
So why did Hailey's brand get chosen over the others? Was it luck? A prayer answered? A manifestation moment? Either way, it's clear they needed that cash flow. You'd think after e.l.f. poured so much into Rhode, they'd be hyping Hailey everywhere, right? But nope, e.l.f. doesn't even follow Hailey Bieber on Instagram. They don't even follow Rhode, the brand they just bought. And don't try to brush it off like, oh, maybe e.l.f. just doesn't follow many people. Wrong. They follow plenty, including Alicia Keys and her whole beauty line. Somebody even pointed out they follow Chipotle and Dunkin' Donuts. But not Hailey. That's wild. For a $1 billion partner to get ignored on social media like that, it screams that something's off behind the scenes. Maybe the person running e.l.f.'s social media just isn't a fan of Hailey. Or maybe it's a bigger sign that the brand isn't happy with her at all. One fan even said it feels like they're already having issues with the Rhode deal, and honestly, it's giving flashbacks to when Kylie Jenner sold part of her brand to Cody. Remember that mess? Kylie was crowned the world's first self-made billionaire, but then Forbes had to backtrack after they realized the documents weren't adding up. They admitted they rushed into that title without doing real fact-checking, and it was a whole scandal. Now, people are comparing that same shady energy to e.l.f.'s $1 billion move with Hailey. And to make it worse, e.l.f.'s stock has been down this year. One insider straight up said they don't think the Rhode deal is enough to bring it back up. That's huge, because you'd expect e.l.f. to be shouting about this deal from the rooftops if it was really working in their favor, but nope, it's been crickets. For a brand that thrives on Instagram marketing, their silence is louder than words. And again, the fact that they'll happily follow Chipotle and Dunkin' Donuts, but not Hailey or Rhode, is just embarrassing. Fans are starting to wonder if the whole thing was a rushed cash grab, and maybe e.l.f. is realizing they bit off more than they could chew. Something about this partnership feels off, and it might be unraveling faster than anyone expected. I don't know what's going on with e.l.f.'s marketing team, but their choices lately are giving downhill vibes. Fast. The most shocking move? Including Matt Rife in one of their big ads. Yes, that Matt Rife, the comedian who has already faced heavy backlash for making jokes about domestic violence. And they thought it was a good idea to use him to promote makeup that's mainly sold to women? That's beyond tone deaf. Fans were quick to call it out, saying e.l.f. basically ignored the fact that his jokes crossed a serious line. And instead of showing respect to the audience that built their brand, they doubled down and gave him a platform in a campaign meant to push beauty and confidence. People felt like it was a slap in the face, especially from a brand that's supposed to empower women. The internet reaction was brutal, with many asking, out of all the celebrities you could have chosen, why him? The whole thing exposed just how disconnected e.l.f. might be from the community they're trying to sell to. For a company that prides itself on being trendy and socially aware, this felt like a straight-up misstep that could cost them their reputation. At this point, it's no longer just about questionable business deals or shady partnerships. Now, e.l.f. is making choices that make their audience wonder if they care at all about the values they claim to represent.
Hey girl, has overpriced beauty hurt your wallet?
e.l.f. that.
Alfino and Schmarns have gone to e.l.f. Court for millions of clients, helping them to access beauty products they deserve at prices that won't injure their livelihoods.
Just ask the e.l.f.ing people.
I know a thing or two about red flags. In pricey makeup, you deserve better than that.
You may be entitled to benefits.
Let's get you those eyes, lips, funds.
Find out what your case and face are really worth.
Call us at 1-855-COLD-HARD-LASH.
That's 1-855-265-34.
273-2274.
How people gonna remember that?
Well, here's a number you can remember. $9.
Alfino Insurance, affordable beauty attorneys. Will win the offering case for your eyes, lips, and face. Call
1-855-653-732274.
To me, the math just isn't adding up. Matt Rife may have had his surgeries and polished image, but at the end of the day, he's not a woman. He doesn't live that reality, and yet he's out here making jokes about women being hit and knowing their place in society. That's beyond disrespectful. And if you need a reminder, back in 2023, he dropped a Netflix special filled with sexist, tone-deaf jokes that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. Then e.l.f. pairs him with drag queen Heidi N. Closet to push their campaign about affordability. Honestly, people were stunned, especially because Matt's past made many assume he wasn't supportive of that community at all. It left fans questioning if this was e.l.f. being bold or just being reckless. And some couldn't ignore the irony.
The girl with massive, yo, that's pretty close.
Yeah, they were not supposed to you were thumb wrestling. I don't know.
I mean, both, honestly.
I don't love a giant. I don't want to look down and feel like like God left a tag on you.
Okay.
I just don't want your to look like the gum from Sausage Party. You know?
Folks even joked that it's always the ones with the most filler in their face that throw the most shade. When the ad hit the internet, backlash was instant. One comment summed it up perfectly. You didn't have the budget for a comedian who doesn't joke about abuse? Out of all the talent in the world, e.l.f. picked him? That outrage spread fast, and honestly, people were shocked no one inside e.l.f. stopped to say, wait, maybe this isn't a good look. The whole thing almost felt like they were chasing a risky Sydney Sweeney moment, but instead, it backfired. e.l.f. had to scramble with an apology saying, "You know us, we're always listening." This campaign was meant to humorously spotlight beauty and justice. We understand we missed the mark with our community. But at this point, fans aren't sure if sorry is enough. The whole campaign was meant to parody a fake law firm, but the joke didn't land. And now that Elfino and Scarman's law firm bit has already been scrapped. That says everything. e.l.f. Cosmetics is clearly sweating because after that apology, they know they crossed a line. Let's be real. Women don't want to buy makeup from a man who cracks jokes about domestic violence. The idea that you'd promote cosmetics with someone making black eye jokes, that's not edgy, that's offensive. And if e.l.f. thought Matt would save the situation, they were wrong. His attempt to apologize came across as yet another joke, and it just poured more gas on the fire. Instead of showing accountability, it looked like he was mocking people who were already hurt by his words. Fans were furious, saying this proved he wasn't taking anything seriously. Then there's Matt's whole sensitivity around people calling out his cosmetic work. Anytime someone points out his jawline or hints at surgery, he jumps defensive on Instagram. He once snapped back with, "Lying about medical history is illegal, FYI."
You guys know this video? So this is a Chicago facial plastic surgeon who is calling out Matt Rife, or that's at least what a lot of people on the internet are saying. This surgeon made a video saying he created one of the best jawlines of all time, and then their patient got canceled after. In my opinion, it's not clear if he is talking specifically about Matt Rife. He certainly doesn't identify him by name. Matt Rife didn't really help himself by going to the comments and saying it's illegal to leak medical information. And, he's 100% right about that. I think that, as a plastic surgeon, we're bound, just like Matt Rife said, to never break confidentiality and share medical information. In my opinion, it's difficult to know if that's really done here. The surgeon is not identifying him by name, but he's definitely getting a lot of attention for himself.
But let's be honest, comparing old photos to new ones, it's obvious he had some help from a surgeon. People online even nicknamed it the LA10 treatment, that polished, sculpted look. And instead of laughing it off, Matt often claps back in the comments, which makes him look insecure. One fan even said, the surgeon was joking and didn't even name him. Yet he jumped in like a whiny baby. That's the energy people are picking up, and it only adds more chaos to this whole e.l.f. Cosmetics mess. Now let's get into the behind-the-scenes controversies with how e.l.f. Cosmetics actually makes their products, because this part is wild. Did you know e.l.f. got caught up in a scandal tied to North Korea? Yeah, it shocked a lot of people. Reports revealed that e.l.f. Cosmetics had imported over 150 shipments of false eyelash kits that contained materials traced back to North Korea. The catch? The US government has strict bans on trade with North Korea, and for good reason. What went down was that some of these materials slipped in through deals with China, and e.l.f. ended up being connected to it. That's a dangerous look for a beauty brand, especially when the US takes violations like that so seriously. And here's the scary part. If you can't fully trust the source of your materials, how do you know what's actually going into the products? That's exactly why regulations exist, because shady supply chains can open the door to unsafe or contaminated ingredients. Customers were left wondering if e.l.f. had really been paying attention, or if they were just chasing cheap deals. But the drama doesn't stop there. e.l.f. proudly stamps cruelty-free on their products, but here's the contradiction.
Did you know on October 7th, the world's largest arms manufacturer stocks all went up? And did you know there's a connection to e.l.f.? e.l.f.'s top investors are BlackRock and Vanguard. But what do these companies do? Are the top investors of pretty much everything in the world, from banks to pharmaceutical companies to media outlets. And more importantly, are they heavily involved in the arms industry, investing in dozens of companies that help fund the IOF. These companies include Boeing, RTX, General Dynamics, Northrop Grumman, and Lockheed Martin. Using Lockheed Martin as an example, they alone generated $4 billion in a collaboration with the blue and white state, supplying them with things like F-35 jets, rockets, radars, lasers, and other military equipment. And these military contractors speak candidly about how this war is good for business. BlackRock CEO Larry Fink is one of the richest people in the world, and this might come as a surprise, but likely does not give a damn about makeup. As beauty lovers, the craftsmanship, history, personality, ethics of a brand is important to us. Whether or not its owners try to do good in the world or understand what their products can mean for people is important to us. So if you're a big beauty lover, just know where your money is going.
In China, animal testing has historically been required by law for cosmetics sold on the market. So how does that work? On one hand, they push cruelty-free branding to US consumers, while on the other hand, they're navigating laws in countries where animal testing is part of the process. That kind of double standard has left fans questioning whether cruelty-free is just a marketing buzzword for e.l.f. instead of a true commitment. There have been long-running claims that e.l.f. isn't truly cruelty-free, especially with the products they sell in China under testing rules that don't match American standards. And it gets darker. At one point, reports surfaced that government investigators found dog fur being collected annually and sold off for use in things like brushes and even false eyelashes linked to cosmetics companies. By 2016, e.l.f. suddenly announced they had shifted to synthetic fibers, but the timing had people suspicious. Did they really switch, or were they just trying to bury ugly headlines about what they may have been using before?
Let's talk about why people were mad when e.l.f. Cosmetics joined Twitch. Last month, e.l.f. Cosmetics became the first major beauty brand to make a Twitch channel. The brand said getting into streaming would be a more authentic way to connect with their audience, and they made it clear that they were trying to target that demographic that loved beauty and gaming. Before the launch, they tweeted this, asking for beauty influencers who also game. Many people responded, including Black creators and men and non-binary people who love makeup. And then their first stream went live, and people immediately noticed that they excluded Black creators and other creators of underrepresented groups. They got a ton of backlash on social media considering they asked Twitter for creator nominations and seemingly ignored them. And then last week, they issued an apology on Twitter, although a lot of fans think it was a little too late. They say they're committed to inclusion and diversity in future streams, and they've created an email address for specific concerns regarding their Twitch channel.
The truth got murky fast. And let's not forget, at the very top, e.l.f. Cosmetics is a corporation built to make money, not to protect consumers. Sure, you might have your favorite go-to product in your bag, maybe something you use every day, but their priority has never been your well-being. Their priority is profit. And that explains why they attract the kind of investors who are perfectly fine with shady shortcuts if it keeps the margins fat. Think about it, that $10 mascara you picked up probably cost them less than 50 cents to produce. Cheap manufacturing, sketchy sourcing, and then flipping it for triple or quadruple the cost. That's the real business model. And fans are starting to realize that the affordable makeup story might just be a cover for a company willing to do anything, even cut corners in disturbing ways to keep their empire growing. Another messy controversy for e.l.f. came when they tried jumping into the Twitch streaming world. The plan was to hand out products, partner with streamers, and make the brand feel trendy in gaming culture. But just like with their other marketing moves, they missed the mark big time. When fans started tuning in to e.l.f.'s Twitch page, they quickly noticed the lack of representation. The creators e.l.f. teamed up with weren't diverse at all. And on top of that, most of them weren't even big names in beauty or streaming. It looked lazy, like e.l.f. just threw money at the first group they could find without thinking about who actually represents their audience. Viewers called it out immediately, pointing out how obvious it was that the lineup was overwhelmingly one-sided. And instead of getting ahead of the backlash, e.l.f. stayed silent for weeks. By the time they finally issued an apology, the damage was done. Fans were already disappointed, and many said it felt like the brand cared more about chasing sales than standing for real allyship. One fan even said, "Watching a company I loved ignore diversity in favor of easy publicity is heartbreaking." Others bluntly asked who at e.l.f. was making these tone-deaf decisions. The sentiment online was that e.l.f. wanted to do everything except work with Black creators, or genuinely connect with the communities that actually support their products. Add this to the Matt Rife backlash, and you've got people wondering if e.l.f.'s entire marketing strategy is just built on ignorance and bad judgment. And let's not forget e.l.f.'s attempt to ride the wave of the Mean Girls reboot, which, let's be honest, flopped hard with fans. Drop a comment if you actually enjoyed it, because most people felt the musical remake just didn't hit the same. e.l.f. decided to cash in on the hype by slipping their products right into the movie, and it came off so forced. Instead of letting viewers get lost in the story, they were distracted by bright green e.l.f. stickers and awkward product placements. Like seriously, who was buying the idea of Regina George, the ultimate queen bee from a wealthy family, reaching for e.l.f. lip oil? Fans argued it made no sense, and they're right. A character draped in luxury fashion wouldn't suddenly be pulling budget beauty products out of her purse. The product placement felt cheap, and many said it actually dragged the movie down. Hardcore fans of the original Mean Girls hated how it clashed with the vibe of the film. It looked less like a reboot of a cult classic and more like a 2-hour ad campaign for e.l.f. And that's the problem with e.l.f.'s whole strategy. Instead of building authentic moments, they keep forcing themselves into spaces that don't fit, leaving fans annoyed instead of impressed. Now let's talk about one of e.l.f.'s strangest moves yet. the corpse paint palette drama of 2024.
So now that e.l.f. has decided to launch the Liquid Death corpse paint collaboration, I can't help but wonder if it's because I always see people online trying traditional goth and corpse paint just for fun, and I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about the death of subcultures. So I watch so much makeup Instagram, and I always see people try goth makeup, and while there are a ton of positive comments, there are also a ton of comments saying, you can't be goth unless you listen to the goth music, and that's where I feel like subcultures are kind of dying. Not in the sense that people aren't a part of those subcultures anymore, it's just that newer generations don't understand what makes them a subculture and not aesthetics. Like, I don't know about you, but I'm so tired of core in general. Like, people will take some random ass words, like strawberry girl, and add core to it. What does that even mean? See, subcultures are about the lifestyle. Aesthetics are about aesthetics, the look. From my understanding, a lot of these fashion subcultures stem from an anti-capitalist, anti-consumerist standpoint, so it's really weird to see people buy goth clothes from Shein when the whole point of the subculture goes against using child labor and fast fashion.
e.l.f. linked up with Liquid Death to launch a coffin-shaped makeup palette meant to create these dramatic, drop-dead looks. On paper, it could have been edgy, but in reality, the marketing completely flopped. Instead of sending this gothic-inspired palette to the people who actually live and breathe that scene, the emo girls, goth creators, or even professional artists who do corpse paint looks, e.l.f. sent the products to random beauty influencers who had nothing to do with that world. Fans instantly noticed the disconnect. One person said, "Why would you send corpse paint palettes to random girlies? This isn't influencing beauty, it's ignoring the people who actually do this every day." Even influencers spoke up. One commented, "No shade to Trisha Paytas, but if you're doing corpse paint, you need to involve the real girls who own this style." Now, Trisha is beloved by many, and yes, she has cosplayed and done looks like this before, but that's not the same as collaborating with authentic goth or emo creators who've built their platforms around these exact aesthetics. Critics were also frustrated that once again, working makeup artists got left out while influencers with big followings snagged the PR packages and spotlight. One artist said, "We put in the work, but the credit and opportunities always go to influencers." And that's what fans keep hammering. e.l.f.'s habit of chasing clout over authenticity is backfiring, making every campaign feel forced instead of groundbreaking. One makeup artist who specializes in Halloween events and even works with black metal bands spoke up, saying they felt snubbed by e.l.f.'s corpse paint campaign. They use that style often, both professionally and personally, and believe they should have had the chance to promote a palette that clearly fit their world. And honestly, they had a point. The people who actually live this look were ignored, while influencers outside the culture got the spotlight. But that wasn't e.l.f.'s only problem. Fast forward to 2025, and the brand was slapped with a class action lawsuit for what's known as slack fill. If you're not familiar, slack fill is when a product's packaging makes it look like you're getting more than you actually are. Sure, the ounces on the label can't legally lie, but let's be real. Most customers trust the size of the box or bottle at first glance.
Okay, but this is actually kind of insane. This is the bottle of this face primer. It's by e.l.f. Obviously, you can see it. It's empty, so I was like, oh, let me take off the lid and get the remaining product out of there. Okay, this is how long this is. This is how long the bottle looks. Bruh. Like, I don't know if you can see in there, but it literally goes to like right here.
A California resident, Geneva Gonzalez, filed the suit after buying e.l.f.'s exfoliant and lip stain. She claims the packaging was intentionally misleading, designed with bulky chambers and wasted space that gave the illusion of more product than what was actually inside. Basically, e.l.f. was spending more on oversized packaging than the formulas themselves. According to the lawsuit, the exfoliant came in a container that looked substantial on the outside but held far less than consumers thought. And for Geneva, that was the last straw. She called e.l.f. out for tricking buyers into thinking they were getting more value than they really were. And if the courts agree, this could turn into another expensive stain on e.l.f.'s already messy reputation. The lawsuit against e.l.f. makes it clear, deceptive packaging doesn't just hurt consumers, it also gives e.l.f. an unfair edge over competitors. Geneva's case is actually set up to represent all Californians who bought e.l.f. products packaged with this so-called non-functional slack fill. In other words, if you've ever felt like you got shorted by e.l.f.'s oversized boxes and tiny amounts of product, you're not alone. This lawsuit is meant for you too. But packaging isn't the only shady play on their record. Another huge part of e.l.f.'s story and their success is built on dupes. Over and over, they take popular high-end products and release cheaper versions that look and feel almost identical.
e.l.f. Liquid Poreless Putty Primer on the right, Touch of the Liquid Self Canvas on the left. These literally feel the same. e.l.f. Powder Grip Primer on the right, Milk Hydro Grip on the left. These even smell the same. The e.l.f. Halo Glow. This is supposed to be a dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter. Shades are a little off, but we'll make it work. For the brows, we have the e.l.f. Brow Lift versus the Anastasia Brow Freeze. I compared these in a previous video, and I saw no difference in longevity. For foundation, we have the e.l.f. CC Cream. I feel like this foundation is what started e.l.f.'s dupe era, because it's actually a dupe for the IT Cosmetics CC Cream.
Some fans defend it, saying e.l.f. made makeup accessible with affordable options. But others argue it's basically stealing, ripping off other companies' hard work and creativity. One insider said, e.l.f. built goodwill in the beauty community before going heavy on dupes, and that shielded them from the backlash most brands would face. On TikTok, creators regularly compare e.l.f. dupes side by side with luxury items, and the results are sometimes shockingly close. But while the hype grows, so do the complaints. On Reddit, more and more users have shared bad experiences with e.l.f. products, from breakouts to dry, irritated skin to mysterious reactions. Critics point to cheap mass manufacturing in China and murky supply chains, questioning how much e.l.f. really knows or cares about what goes into their formulas. It leaves fans wondering, is e.l.f. giving people affordable beauty, or are they cutting corners at every step just to keep profits flowing? They say a lot of e.l.f.'s products are packed with cheap silicones, and if you're prone to acne, that's a nightmare. Those ingredients can trap bacteria under the surface of your skin, leaving you with breakouts you never asked for. One creator even showed her own experience, saying her skin went from clear to covered in pimples after using e.l.f. And once she stopped, the flare-ups finally calmed down. That's scary to think about. Another user complained that e.l.f.'s primers felt useless. Like 90% of the bottle was just empty packaging with barely any actual product. Others shared stories of pumps breaking, bottles shrinking, and formulas that didn't deliver what was promised. One fan bluntly said, e.l.f. products don't do anything for me. And the worst part? More and more creators are claiming their skin actually got worse after adding e.l.f. into their routine. So after the lawsuits, the bad marketing, the shady sourcing, and now complaints about breakouts, it really makes you wonder what's going on behind the scenes at e.l.f. Cosmetics. From the Hailey Bieber billion-dollar deal to the Matt Rife disaster, this brand has been swimming in controversy, and honestly, it feels like the drama is only getting started. But now I want to hear from you. Do you think e.l.f. is spiraling, or are fans just being too harsh? Drop your thoughts down below, and don't hold back. Make sure you hit like, share, and subscribe to Fame Drip so you don't miss any of the messy drama we've got coming your way. And before you go, click the next video you see on your screen, because trust me, it's even juicier than this one.